To discuss Gluware architecture, we welcome Chris Ellerman, VP for Presales and Service Delivery at Gluware. Chris, we're going to have a build slide up shortly. It's going to help us visualize the architecture and give us a framework for our discussion here, where we're going to cover moving from traditional CLI management to infrastructure as code. All the rage, Chris. It's the cool thing. So as this video comes up, walk us through the three phases the slide is building for us.
Yes, sir. So thank you for having me, Ethan. So there's three main phases within Gluware that we can start getting to infrastructure as code quickly. The first is really our core, which is the CLI-driven infrastructure. The second being API-driven, and finally API-driven into the cloud. What I would like to do is start on the left side of this chart that is building out. As was discussed in the previous session, Gluware is multi-vendor aware. So one of the key points and key things that needs to happen in order to get to intent-based declarative provisioning is to really understand the uniqueness of CLI that resides on different vendor platforms, and even on the same vendor, different operating, as the versions change, the CLI will change as well.
Yeah, you said that very politely, Chris. Yeah, all the CLIs are very different, but your point here is that Gluware makes it so that I don't have to care about that so much.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely true. And then to really get to the core of it, we get to data models that are customer specific. And what Gluware does is we wrap network information and our customer's CLI information into JSON-based data models. And it may sound a little scary because what we want to do is provide intent-based automation right out of the box. But our customers do not need to be programmers. This is a no-code, low-code environment. And there's multiple ways to get these models in place. So Gluware can provide you examples. You don't want to do it, but you could build them from scratch. But we also ship with multiple workflows. And one of those workflows just gives you a standard walkthrough where you can provide information and a network feature is built for you. But honestly, my favorite is something we call intelligent model discovery. The Gluware orchestration engine will go out to the network devices. Based upon what that device is, the operating system, it'll actually interrogate that device and provide you as a network engineer or operator data models that you can use to create policy. And that policy can then be pushed out in an intent-based manner.
Okay, so we're covering a bunch of ground here at once. So we've got our three models. We've got the CLI, we've got the API, and then we've got the public cloud approach, APIs yet again. And your point is that with Gluware data models, the way that I communicate to the device can vary. It can be old school, it can be modern APIs, and that's all fine because Gluware is treating all of these devices using a data modeled approach. And because of that, what the ultimate way is that the device configuration is pushed kind of doesn't matter to me because Gluware is going to model it all and handle that push for me.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely true. So I think a lot of people are very attracted to Gluware based upon the CLI-driven. When we do get over to the API-driven infrastructure, what we do see is customers come to us with template sprawl issues, right? Oftentimes these infrastructures, they're controller-based. They may have an API, but customers may actually be using that web interface, right? So they come to us just simply from that perspective of they have multiple templates, hard to control, and they do want to get it into the Gluware config modeling application. I think, Ethan, I would like to run the second video because I think it's very important for the rest of the discussion.
We're ready for that second video that's going to show us the data modeling and such, yeah.
Yeah, so what I did is I put together a short video. I just, in my lab, pulled up three routers that are using our config modeling application. And what I'm doing is selecting one router, and I want to pull the configuration off of that to create these JSON-based data models. So this is out-of-the-box functionality with Gluware. You can simply aim Gluware, it connects to that box via SSH and interrogates that configuration. So what you're seeing in the video is it actually does present to you network features or data models that you can then choose to be put into your policy. Once you choose those, it creates the JSON. It gives you a map, which you're seeing on the screen. Now, each one of those boxes is actually a data model within itself. And you'll see that our customers operate with the forms typically, but there is JSON code behind it. And that's what we're flashing there. So if you really do want to understand the code and see what's there, or if you're someone who has a coding background and does want to get in and manipulate it, you have that opportunity. So Gluware has gone out, it's captured data model and policy, and now we can simply apply it to as many other devices as we wish. In this case, I've just applied it to 2, but we have customers who apply it in hundreds of thousands, at a time. So the other thing that happens now is as that connection occurs, and I'm doing this in what's called a preview mode, Gluware will actually log into each of those devices. It'll show the network engineer or operator the exact CLI changes that will be made. And again, since it's declarative, it's only going to add things that it needs to add. It'll take out things that shouldn't be there. You simply tell Gluware in the data model what you want the configuration to look like, and we'll go out and do the rest. So you'll see at the very end there, you see a lot of no commands, because I can tell you those routers I had in my lab had a lot of junk on them. So just a quick video to explain how we can quickly get you from CLI into data modeling and then apply it across your infrastructure.
So one observation I made in that video is that by data models, we're talking about a way a traditional network engineer could think about this is we've got chunks of configuration code that become part of our standard. Our NTP looks like this, and our SNMP looks like this, and our routing daemons look like this. And each of those could be a data model, and we can push 1 or 2 or all of the models to our current desired state to a device. Not all at once if we don't want to. We could do a little at a time and bring that device into compliance.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And then the other point, if we want to go back, Ben, to that previous slide, is that we do incorporate variables as well as forms. So a custom discovery can occur. So what I just showed you was essentially one policy that would be pushed to all devices, but customer networks may have different policies that need to be applied in different data centers or across the globe. So we do support that ability to apply it exactly where you want in a device, and to interrogate the device and determine what should actually be rendered and pushed.
Now, is this particularly different if, you showed a CLI example there in that video. Does it look particularly different if it's an API style?
No, it doesn't. So moving over to the API driven, we will actually ingest the schema from the API. And this is one great advantage, is that our network engineers that are used to working within config modeling, we pull that schema in and we present them just the fields that they want to modify. Again, if you've been involved in these sorts of platforms, the templates can be very large, and we get that sprawl, and customers may be scrolling around and just want to go check a box. So we can just pull that in. It shows up in that same screen, and again, we can just push that to the API, and you're in configuration provisioning mode right from Gluware.
What does the cloud bring that's different here? I mean, you categorize it as a third thing, but in a sense, it's also just another API. So how do we look at cloud and have that be a unique thing?
Yeah, I think it's a third thing. And just our customers asked, as we've gone from the traditional CLI to these other platforms, they said, hey, Gluware, how do you help us get to the cloud? I'm a traditional network engineer. I'm being asked to start to provision to the cloud. I just don't have the time to get that skill set up. So what we decided to do was integrate with Terraform, another declarative platform, and bring it into our same graphical visualization config modeling for those customers. So now they become very comfortable. They can see the dependencies amongst the boxes. One of the classics is building a VPC in Amazon or tearing it down. Mm-hmm. One of the classics is simply, am I leaving it up too long and getting charged, or I'm afraid to take it down for fear my service will go. So because they're working in a common user interface in Gluware, and frankly, we actually make them type destroy if they want to bring it down. But we can put these up and tear them down in minutes.
One last question I've got for you, Chris, regards, you mentioned variables. How do I populate what goes into those variables? Are they different? Like, am I working off of a spreadsheet? Where is Gluware getting that information from? Because I'm sure not going to type it all in by hand.
Yeah. So in Gluware, you can create your own data models in your forms, right? And those can be referenced. And the classic we're just talking, they're CLI-driven and API-driven. If you just needed to change DHCP, IP, helper information across both of those, you don't want to use separate spreadsheets, or the cloud team has their own. So in Gluware, we can put it in a data model, and those policies that I showed you can reference that data model. And then again, you can actually go and discover. So if could be on a WAN interface or using a certain LAN, another. We often have customers where we go right into the naming convention or the IP addressing scheme of the device. And based on what we're finding in that discovery, Gluware then dynamically changes the policy of what should be pushed to the device.
Okay, actually, one more thing just hit me, Chris. That's this. Gluware's got all of this information in there. So can I point other tools I might have on my network to Gluware to pull data out?
Absolutely. And that's really the top build out of the slide. Gluware has an open REST API. We have customers that call it constantly. One example, I have a customer that also pushes from a CMDB, their source of truth network inventory every night to Gluware. Gluware rediscovers all the devices and compares the snapshots on a daily basis. So we offer that ability for those third-party applications to call us. We're a bit agnostic when it comes to source of truth. You can create the source of truth within Gluware, like I mentioned, creating that data model in the previous question. But we also know customers have build outs of their CMDBs and other tools, and that may be rock solid and they're using it. So in which case, we're happy as Gluware to give them the ability to call us. And we have the ability to call those outbound as well.
Excellent. Well, Chris, thank you for joining us for this segment. And we just saw Gluware acting as the platform to turn infrastructure to code using data models. And that's whether you're working with legacy brownfield gear on premises or the shiniest new cloud models. Coming up next, we're talking to a Gluware customer to see everything we just talked about in action. We will be right back, 10 seconds or so.